TV Des Moines.
No one works a 36-hour day. No one, that is, except young doctors in training, interns and residents, who are on call in hospitals for 36 hours at a time. The 36-hour day is a story about how their long hours, their fatigue, and their inexperience create career-long resentments, affect their judgments, and can have tragic consequences for patients.
You'd much rather have somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're having chest pain who's alert and oriented and not been up for a long time. It's just common sense.
The case of Izzat Abu Hassan, a Lebanese immigrant living in this rented house in Miami. While working on his car in this closed garage, there was a terrible explosion and fire. Within minutes, the body was burned beyond all recognition. United of Omaha Insurance paid Abu Hassan's sister $350,000 as she returned to Lebanon. But you know that Abu Hassan's alive.
Yes, we do. Last we knew, he was back in Lebanon.
The case of the corpse under the car is just one variation on the theme of life insurance fraud, a developing theme being played in many of the developing nations.
Pakistan, Ghana, Nigeria, Haiti is starting to come up strong on the outside.
Don't you say a sentence, not a line. Don't presume or you'll die.
He intimidates you from the pulpit. He says that if you leave, the Bible speaks, and you speak anything about the Bible speaks, meaning speaking anything negative about the Bible speaks, you'll get cancer of the throat, cancer of the larynx, you will die.
Carl Stevens used to say to them all the time, if only I can just find one millionaire.
And apparently, he did.
How much did you give? Oh, about $7 million.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Harry Reasoner. I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Those stories and Andy Rooney, tonight on 60 Minutes.
The BMW 735i is one of those rare luxury sedans engineered by driving enthusiasts. While other luxury sedans announce to the world you've arrived, the new BMW 735i offers you the considerable advantage of arriving a bit sooner. For a test drive, contact your local BMW dealer.
So where you from?
Warsaw.
Huh? Hey, I got an uncle from there. Or was it Krakow?
Warsaw is a famous name in business insurance.
Hey, maybe you know him. Paul Zakowski?
Sorry.
But some people have trouble placing us.
Where's Warsaw?
Wisconsin.
Oh, welcome to America.
Oh, Warsaw Insurance.
That's Warsaw.
W-A-U-S-A-U.
Right.
Warsaw.
We're the business insurance experts from Warsaw.
Whatever.
The 36-hour day. No one works a 36-hour day. No one, that is, except young doctors in training, interns and residents who are on call in hospitals for 36 hours at a time. 100 hours or more a week. They are the doctors responsible for much of the patient care in most teaching hospitals. They are supervised, some of the time, by senior doctors on the hospital faculty and by attending doctors. Those are the patient's private physicians. Well, this is a story about how interns and residents' long hours and their inexperience can affect their judgments and can have tragic consequences for patients. This is also a story about fear. Fear on the part of young interns to talk publicly about all this. Fear that their fledgling medical careers will be destroyed by a medical establishment that doesn't want the system revealed to all of us potential patients. Dr. X is an exception. He had interned at a major Washington, D.C. teaching hospital. He is now a second-year resident at another. But they refused to let us follow him on his 36-hour rounds or to watch him work at all. Nonetheless, Dr. X agreed to describe for us what intern and resident life is really like, as long as we didn't use his name. We had our conversation at a neighborhood restaurant. The afternoon we talked, Dr. X told us he was coming off a 32-hour shift. He began by warning us never to enter a hospital for treatment in July because, he said, that's the month the new class of interns begins to train.
July is a very dangerous month in the hospital.
Why?
Everybody's new, they don't know their way around the hospital quite often, and they don't necessarily know what they're doing.
And what kind of thing can go wrong with a new intern, a tired intern?
Certainly, writing orders in the wrong chart is a very common thing, especially in the morning when you're going on rounds. You have a whole rack full of charts, and they all look the same.
Dr. X and his brethren have so much responsibility because much of the time, the experienced private physician, the attending doctor, the person you pay to take care of you, is nowhere to be seen. Infrequently at night, almost never on Sunday.
When you call an attending, he's at home asleep. It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And you say, "Doctor, this is Doctor.
Right.
I got a little trouble here."
Yeah.
By and large, what are they like?
By and large, they're not very helpful. Sometimes I've heard people say, "Don't call me back even if the patient dies."
Are you going to care for a patient as well in your 30th hour as you did in your 3rd hour on duty?
Definitely not. People are much more forgetful, less attentive to detail, less able to concentrate after that kind of sleep deprivation.
Inexperience, long hours, fatigue. Just ask newspaperman Sid Zion and his wife Elsa. Their 18-year-old daughter Libby was running a high fever and suffering from a painful ear infection. It was a Sunday night, so their family doctor, Ray Sherman, sent them to the emergency room at New York Hospital.
When you got to the hospital and you went to the emergency room and the doctors greeted you, did you know who they were, whether they were regular attending or residents or interns or whatever?
My assumption was that since this was the great hospital, it was an attending doctor, and since my friend Ray Sherman had sent me there, he wouldn't send me to an intern. I had no idea until we finally looked at medical records and saw the autopsy report that what we were dealing here with were interns and residents the whole time, and not one attending.
As New York Hospital's records reveal, it was the intern and some residents who failed to use antibiotics to fight Zion's fever and her infection. The first-year intern, Dr. Louise Weinstein, had already been on duty here at the hospital for 18 hours straight when she first saw Libby Zion. Zion's temperature kept on going up. She was thrashing around in her bed. But Dr. Weinstein refused 3 separate telephone requests from the nurses to come to Libby Zion's bedside. Over the telephone, Weinstein, who by now had been on duty for more than 18 hours, ordered the patient tied to her bed to stop her thrashing. Elsa Zion is Libby's mother.
No one looked at her at all. They tied her down so that she wouldn't bother them and gave her drugs to quiet her down and get her out of the way.
One of those drugs was Demerol, although it was on the Zion's record that she was already taking the antidepressant drug Nardil, and mixing Demerol and Nardil can be fatal. The Zions checked Libby into New York Hospital before midnight. Reluctantly, they left her 3 hours later. Just 5 hours after that, their telephone rang. It was intern Weinstein on the phone.
She said, "I just want you to know that we've done everything we could do. We tried to get her temperature down. We put her in ice, and she said, we've done everything we could." And I said to her, "Are you trying to tell me she's dead?" And she said, "Yes."
Citing a pending malpractice suit, none of the doctors involved in the Zion case would talk to us. When we did reach Dr. Louise Weinstein at New York Hospital, where she still works, she hung up on us. The hospital's attorneys write that as the true facts and circumstances concerning Miss Zion's death emerge, we are confident that her care will be shown to have been appropriate. A New York grand jury that investigated the Libby Zion case issued a report condemning the practice of permitting the most seriously ill patients to be cared for by the most inexperienced physicians. And they recommended that hospitals be required to supervise interns and junior residents and to limit their long working hours. One of the Zion's expert witnesses is Dr. John Alexander. He has practiced emergency medicine for 10 years. He was hired by the Zions to examine Libby's medical records and to assess the quality of the care that she received.
You yourself write about Dr. Weinstein. Dr. Weinstein's admitting orders essentially doomed Miss Zion insofar as any reasonable opportunity for recovery was denied the patient subsequent to Dr. Weinstein's assumption of care. Pretty serious indictment.
That's correct. What Dr. Weinstein did or did not do took from Libby Zion any opportunity she had to live to see the morning.
Virtually no hospital wanted us to observe an intern at work for 36 hours straight. No hospital wanted us to see just how tired these young doctors in training can get. Mount Sinai in Manhattan was the exception. From 7 a.m. on Tuesday, December 17th, until 7 p.m. on Wednesday, December 18th, we stayed with first-year intern Jeff Levy.
You have been quoted as saying that patients are the bane of your existence.
I did say that at one point, I think.
Yeah, why?
Patients can be very, very demanding. Patients can also be very, very sick and have very legitimate demands.
Levy's first 12 hours passed fairly uneventfully. Patient rounds, chart reviews, the scrutiny of x-rays. It's now 7:30 p.m. Jeff Levy's night at Mount Sinai is just beginning, with a woman suffering from internal bleeding.
At the same time that she was having...
8 p.m., 13 hours into the job, only 23 hours to go.
Jack Lee, here we come.
8:45 p.m., a shouting match breaks out in one of the patient's rooms.
I understand why she's here. I am well aware of why she's here.
Do something about it.
There is absolutely nothing I can do. There are no other female beds.
Well, then fine, take her home.
No, I don't want you to do that. She needs to be in the hospital.
You can't take this aggravation.
How much sleep have you had over the last 36?
Oh, let's see. Went to bed at 2:30, woke up at... No, went to bed at 3, woke up at 4:30. We'll see. She needs any more blood. Was up for about a half hour. And went back to bed at 5 and slept till 6:30, so I got about 3 hours of sleep. She was told...
It's now 8:30 Wednesday morning. Dr. Levy has been on call for 25 hours straight. There's a simple way to distinguish day from night at most hospitals. In the morning, the senior doctors, those men in suits and ties, are there to get the interns and residents' reports.
However, she continued to take the aspirin and presented yesterday with the above-mentioned melanoma.
10 a.m. A visibly tired Jeff Levy tries to concentrate on the cases at hand. Just compare the face of Dr. Levy this morning with the Dr. Levy of 24 hours earlier.
I've heard from some attendings and from some residents that interns and residents don't care the way they used to.
There's a saying in medicine, it's called in the days of the giants. When I was an intern, we used to do things like this. Could you please ask me the part of the question again?
Yeah. You're tired?
Yeah. But I'm not taking care of patients. I'm done with my work.
I know.
Okay.
But you're tired.
No question.
And at the end of a 36-hour, I mean, you'd be less than human if you weren't. And one has got to wonder. I mean, come on, if you have a little bit of trouble keeping some of my questions in mind, I say, is this the guy that I want taking care of me if I'm sick? In his 32nd or 33rd hour?
It goes back, I think, to the sense of judgment. You learn to know when you're tired. You learn to know when to ask for help.
Peter Charup is a third-year resident now, and he says he'll never forget what his first year was like.
The most unpleasant, miserable experience I've ever been through. I remember being here for 36 hours straight, no sleep, my clothes sticking to me, nurses constantly asking me questions, almost usually too tired to even think. I remember IVs falling out at 4 o'clock in the morning. The minute I'd gotten into bed, I thought that someone pulled them out. I was so exhausted and exasperated. The quality of medical care would improve with shorter hours and better working conditions. Just because you'd much rather have somebody at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're having chest pain who's alert and oriented and not been up for a long time. It's just common sense.
Do interns get tired only at Mount Sinai? Of course not. Tom Pearson is also a young intern, fresh out of medical school, interning at the Polyclinic Medical Center in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It was Friday afternoon when 60 Minutes producer Marion Golden caught up with him. He'd been at the hospital since Thursday morning, much of that time in the intensive care unit.
I've seen 34 hours continuously nonstop, and that's about as far as I can go. And somewhere around 24 hours is where you start to cry. And somewhere before that you might hallucinate now and then. Definitely lose track of what day it is. Inevitably I will lose a day.
What kinds of errors are you and your colleagues capable of making?
About as many different kinds as there are drugs to give. There are specific indications for a lot of these chemicals that we push into people's bodies, and there's no way to remember them all.
One of your colleagues says he's thinking seriously of quitting. Patients are ungrateful. He's found himself becoming cynical beyond his wildest dreams or expectations. Is that recognizable to you?
I'm almost afraid to be honest, because I know that there's a slim possibility the public may hear this, but in all honesty, I find myself at times resenting my patients. They take my time. Sometimes they don't appreciate it. Sometimes they don't get better. Many times I get up in the morning thinking to myself, I should have stayed in horticulture. If there was anything else in the world that I could do other than this, I would do it.
The patient is the enemy. That is a sentiment as astonishing as any these doctors were willing to express. These doctors even use acronyms like GOMER to describe their least favorite patients. GOMER? A subspecies of human being, usually old and senile, incontinent, or drug-saturated, that the doctors want nothing to do with. What does GOMER stand for? Get out of my emergency room.
No question about the fact that in some ways and at many times the patient is almost your enemy.
If these dark thoughts are frightening to patients, they worry doctors too. Some of them, like these interns and residents at Harrisburg's Polyclinic, even take part in encounter sessions to ventilate their concerns.
Your mind is just so messed up from having been up all night. I go home after call being very depressed. It happens every single time I'm on call. And when I go home, I say, oh, there's my post-call depression. Don't pay any attention to it, because tomorrow you'll feel better again.
We are dealing with the most grim thing in life, and that's death. We see it every day. I mean, we are able to accept death on a patient and be able to walk out of the room and just like nothing happened.
What bothers me about death, there's a certain amount of paperwork. You fill it out, you go on to your next job. But seriously, the thing is that you feel bad and scared because you wonder always, is it something that you did or didn't do?
It's not like you're going to become a subspecialist.
No, I'm going to quit. The level of cynicism and acerbic behavior that I've developed is not healthy for me or the people I'm going to treat.
Why do we continue to train doctors this way? Tradition. It's the macho thing to do. Economics. They're a source of cheap labor for so many hospitals. They earn an average of $23,000 a year. Dr. Richard Gorland, chairman of the Department of Medicine at Mount Sinai, insists it's the only way for a doctor to learn. It is also, he says, the best way to take care of patients.
Why are interns and residents on duty treating patients for 36 hours in a row?
The most important reason they're treating patients for 36 hours in a row is our concept of continuity of care.
What do you mean?
Illnesses aren't like snapshots. They aren't something that happens in an hour or 2 hours. It's usually taking somebody through an illness, a phase of an acute illness that might be, for example, diabetic coma. That is a drama that acts out over a day and a half. That's the first part. The second is the experience that the individual gets in taking care of the patient. We don't want it to be chopped up. We view this as a period within which a person learns to cope. And if you're constantly going on and off duty, there's the likelihood that you'll never learn to cope with a total problem. You never will have seen that total problem. And you don't understand how not to make mistakes at times when perhaps you are a little tired.
And sometimes when you're going to make mistakes, and who suffers? Sure, the doctor suffers to a certain degree, but the patient suffers seriously.
We don't let the patient suffer, because every single move that is of consequence, this is cleared with the resident. And during the day, of course, there are attendings, consultants, all participating in any major decision.
Ideally, yes, mistakes do happen. And you know that they do. True?
Mistakes can happen in any situation.
Dr. John Alexander contends that mistakes can happen all too often under the present system.
It often does determine who shall live and who shall die in a hospital emergency setting. Yes, sir.
You mean the burnout factor, the fatigue factor, the resentment factor?
It's a little bit of a roulette wheel that a patient takes unknowingly when they come into a hospital emergency room. Who's going to treat them? All you can do is have faith in the name of the hospital whose logo appears in lights outside the emergency room door.
And that faith is sometimes misplaced.
I believe so.
Get a taste of the unexpected. There's
Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
What a taste sensation. Whole wheat, sweetened with raisin. A combination with flair. A tasty little package
With raisin in there.
Raisin in the middle. Naturally sweet raisin. Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
Raisin in the middle.
Kellogg's Raisin Squares.
And now apple cinnamon squares.
You know, when I first saw a Volkswagen Golf, I thought it was just another small car. But then something incredible happened. I drove it.
We know you're concerned about the sweeping tax changes for 1987.
This year, put H&R Block on your side. Get back the biggest refund you've got coming.
I could not have done it without H&R Block.
What can we find for you?
McDonald's presents Double Features. He was hungry for money. He was hungry for power. But most of all,
Welcome to McDonald's.
he was hungry. Hungry for McDonald's Double Features. McDonald's Big Beefy Double Cheeseburger or a double-size order of McDonald's regular fries. A taste big enough to satisfy his hunger. But only available for a limited time.
Tonight on CBS, stay tuned for a musical mystery when Sean Cassidy guests on Murder, She Wrote. Then Charlene's high school friend shows up, and guess what she does for a living?
She's practicing the world's oldest profession.
Monette's a carpenter?
Designing women, and
Call your sister.
Oh, sorry, my dog whistles in the shop.
the premiere of Nothing is Easy. Then Blake fights to free a young girl accused of murder.
Free the innocent. File a great story.
But the question still remains.
Who killed my daughter?
Hard copy tonight.
Dying for Dollars is not a new game show, but it is a game being played by some immigrants who come to this country, who one way or another fake their deaths, and they live happily ever after. No one knows how many are getting away with it, so if you're wondering why your life insurance premiums are going up, that may be why. Billions, yes, billions of dollars may be going into phony death claims. All the insurance companies know about are the ones they catch. For example, the case of Izzat Abu Hassan, a Lebanese immigrant living in this rented house in Miami. On a hot May evening in 1982, while working on his car in this closed garage, there was a terrible explosion and fire. Apparently the jacket slipped, punctured the gas tank, and a spark ignited the gas. Within minutes, the body was burned beyond all recognition. And so ended the hope of Abu Hassan cashing in on the American dream. But was it the end? The local police investigation, led by homicide detective Ray Nazario, thought it was. They ruled it an accidental death. United of Omaha Insurance thought so too. They paid Abu Hassan's sister, Gada, a Florida nursing student, $350,000, and she returned to Lebanon. But when Gada came back to Florida to collect on another insurance policy her brother had with J.C. Penney Insurance of Dallas, George Walker, a company executive, got suspicious.
That he had taken out a great deal of insurance in a short period of time, and I believe in several $1 million. And then it begins to, you begin to wonder, isn't this strange that all of this would occur in such a short period of time?
Mr. Walker did what many insurance companies do when they smell a rat. He said, "Get Joe Healy."
Gee, there's a hell of a description. Average height, average weight.
John Joseph Healy is an old-fashioned New York gumshoe with a mile-wide streak of skepticism. To him, the Abu Hassan case stunk.
It fit a pattern when I asked his sister where his passport was, his green card, his driver's license, and so forth, and she said she had brought them all back to Lebanon, where they're no earthly use there, but they would certainly be of earthly use to someone who was still alive.
Also, the autopsy, which was good, still didn't do a positive ID on the body. And the other thing is that he had just moved into this house about a month and a half before, supposedly liked to work on old cars, which I couldn't prove he ever did, and yet he has to go across the street to borrow a pair of pliers from a neighbor. He establishes the fact that he's working on a car. He's very specific when he talked to the neighbor about what he was doing. In fact, the neighbor told him pliers wouldn't do it. He needed a box wrench, and he mentioned that he had a problem with the carburetor leaking. And it's the first time he talked to any neighbors in the area. So he establishes what he's doing, working on a car, and he's got a leaky carburetor.
The fire was so fierce, the only remains were Abul Hassan's teeth. Healy scoured every dental clinic in Miami, but could find no place the man had ever been treated. Abul Hassan had lived briefly in Kentucky, so Healy checked out a number of clinics there, and finally came up with a set of x-rays. The teeth did not match. Proof positive the corpse under the car was not Izzat Abul Hassan.
Mr. Healy did come into the office approximately 8 months later and suspected that there was some foul play involved. We checked every possible missing person that was available and that dental charts were available, and with negative results. So we still haven't been able to identify the individual underneath the car.
So far, Abul Hassan's gotten away with a lot of money and...
With murder.
Got away with murder.
Yes.
You know that Abul Hassan's alive?
Yes, we do. Last we knew, he was back in Lebanon. Well, apparently there's a half-completed house on a hill overlooking this town of Bertachny, Lebanon. So apparently he started to build his castle, waiting for the rest of the insurance money.
Even if there was an extradition treaty with Lebanon, not even Joe Healy would try to collar a con man in the eternal crossfire of Lebanon, where corpses are a way of life. The case of the corpse under the car is just one variation on the theme of life insurance fraud, a developing theme being played in many of the developing nations. The most common variation is for someone to come to this country, buy life insurance, then go home for a visit and, quote, die, unquote, on a remote country road in a traffic accident, fall down a well, or even a snake bite in some jungle backwater.
Lately, we've been seeing a lot of phony death cases from India, Pakistan, Ghana, Nigeria. Haiti is starting to come up strong on the outside, and several Central and South American countries. It's classically third world countries.
If you went to India, for example, to investigate the death of a Mr. Singh, and there are I don't know how many millions of Singhs in India, and you have a death certificate, the body's been cremated, how can you possibly find the man?
Well, I didn't say it was easy. You know, it's not easy, but basically, you really have to do an investigation like you would do here. You know, talk to the people who saw him dead, talk to the undertaker, go to the church or the mosque or wherever the ceremony was, go to the cemetery to see if somebody is buried there and who's buried there.
Have you ever pulled up an empty coffin?
Yes, some years ago in Ghana, pulled up an empty coffin. And they had a regular funeral procession, burial and everything. And got an exhumation and the coffin was empty.
Do foreign countries cooperate with you when you suspect one of these as being a phony?
Very rarely.
It seems like a pretty easy crime to get away with.
Well, you see, insurance industry is geared essentially really to pay claims, and probably 90% of the claims that come in are legitimate. And then a lot of states have Fair Claim Practices Acts where you have to make a decision within a number of days, 10, 15, or 30 days, depending on the state.
One problem that confronts the insurance companies is that the cost of proving a death was fake can be more expensive than the claim itself. So until recently, many companies weren't very militant in going after these frauds. Now, the stakes are higher.
It's in the billions of dollars.
What sort of people do this? Are they people who've led a life of crime, or are they first-timers?
Most of them are first-timers. Now, they will be repeaters if you don't catch them the first time, because they will continue to create all of these people and then kill these people off. And sometimes they'll kill themselves off 2 or 3 times. We've run across that. If we don't check the first one, the rest of them will come through like a line of ducks. They fall into 4 categories. One of them is body substitution, where there's unrest or civil strife or people, are being killed. They'll say, well, I have an insurance policy, and I think I'll swap this person out for me, and then I'll claim I'm dead. One of them is the creation of a person and then killing off that person without that person ever having existed. One of them is straight document changes. That is just taking an actual death certificate and all of the attendant forms and then changing those and submitting it. And then is there the old story of killing off yourself by getting a policy and then supplying all of the supposed forms needed to create the death of yourself.
Death certificate.
Burial permits, cremation certificates, police reports, coroner's reports, things along that line.
One would think a death certificate, a coroner's report, would be awfully hard to come by.
I wish they were. We wouldn't have the problem. There are two available, and now they're at, because they are so available, they're at fire sale prices. You can pick them up most anywhere.
In fact, they are known as Nigerian death kits, though they can be purchased in many other countries. The death kit tells you everything you've always wanted to know about how you died, where you died, sometimes even a photograph of your corpse, and occasionally even a lovely obituary reminding you how kind and decent you were before your untimely death.
Well, we found out that the more authentic the documentation of death shows to be, the more likely it is to be bogus.
Richard Bryety is Vice President of Special Services for the New York Life Insurance Company, the 5th largest in the country. It's considered to have one of the most vigilant fraud units, so Bryety didn't take it kindly when he paid off in the case of the Manila floater.
Hey, even Willie Mays has dropped a fly ball occasionally, you know, but it should have been caught in the net, and it wasn't caught in the net.
The Manila floater was or wasn't Jose Ramirez, a Filipino salesman who lived in Los Angeles. He went back to the Philippines for a visit and, poor chap, went missing while swimming in Manila Bay. There's been no shortage of unidentified bodies washing ashore in the Philippines. This one was identified as Jose Ramirez by an uncle and was then quickly cremated.
Essentially, it was a policy that had been around for 13 years. It had been a premium-paying policy for the entire period, and we received what, in fact, was an authentic death certificate from the Philippines. We got snookered.
It was only when Mrs. Ramirez tried to collect again on another, more recent policy on her husband's life that anyone became suspicious. The Ramirez case ended up with the California Fraud Bureau, an agency set up to deal with insurance fraud. Ron Warthen and Ken Kensler were the investigators.
In that particular case, we had the best possible evidence, and that was they were arrested together. If we had found him walking down Wilshire Boulevard and arrested him, and found her walking down Hollywood Boulevard and arrested her, I mean, her defense would be, well, I thought he was dead. And his defense would have been, well, I didn't know that she'd put in this claim. But once we arrest them together, that's pretty proof positive that they knew what was going on.
And if these cases are hard to catch, they're even harder to try in a court of law.
All of the evidence, which we should review, is located in a foreign country. And even if I had the financial ability to send an investigator to the foreign country, and he determined that the documents were false, if he returned to this country, he couldn't testify to his findings in a court of law because of the hearsay evidence rules. It doesn't allow that testimony. So it is a tremendous problem.
The perpetrator is regarded as a victimless crime.
Which, of course, is not true, because we're all paying for this type of crime. All the policyholders in this country are paying for these crimes.
What most worries Warthen and Kensler is that they've seen an increase in these cases in recent years.
And just to say, we're one state out of 50, and we have looked at $25 million worth, so I'd say it's a very big problem. The word has gotten out to third world countries that sometimes they can succeed fairly easy at this kind of a crime.
I have heard comments to such that it's the American way. You come over here, get what you can, and that's part of capitalistic society.
This problem's always been there, all right? But the difference now, the difference presently is that instead of years ago where they'd be willing to hit us for $10,000 or $15,000, now everyone is looking to become an instant millionaire. realistically, if they apply to half a dozen companies, even if they hit a couple of the companies, they can live quite well back in their native land.
If you get a claim from Ghana or Nigeria, does that mean that that policy is just going to be put under a microscope by you guys?
That is absolutely correct. I've been in the business over 30 years, and the next authentic death claim that I see from Ghana will be my first.
Meanwhile, there's plenty of work for Joe Healy. From Ghana to Pakistan, from Miami to Manhattan, he pounds the pavement, the living last gasp of the fictional private eye.
Poor man's bulldog drumming. It's all on paper, and because that's all we work with is paper bodies, paper identification, paper identities, a lot of time paper beneficiaries.
And a lot of paper money.
And a lot of paper money. A lot of paper money.
Power, performance, excitement. If they make your temperature rise, Nissan has 3 kinds of heat.
We got the power to make you move. We make you feel like driving. We make you feel like driving.
The hot new wide-open Pulsar NX. The hotter V6 200SX. The hottest 300CX ever. They're what hot driving is all about.
We make you feel like driving. And the name is Nissan.
Ramada wants to know what makes John Madden mad.
Let's replay what happened the last time you tried to check out of a hotel. A slow desk clerk causes a 3 salesman pileup. Boom! You shift formations. Flap! The computer goes berserk. Then you get penalized 15 minutes for unnecessary charges. But don't get mad. Get Ramada. They do everything possible to make your checkout fast and smooth. So you won't get a delay again. Next time, Ramada.
Call 1-800-2-RAMADA.
60 Minutes, a CBS News weekly magazine, will continue.
The dark secret of a childhood nightmare.
I need to remember what really happened in this room.
A haunting drama of intrigue and terror.
You know what happened that night, don't you, Senator?
Linda Carter, Angie Dickinson, 2 lives bound in a web of scandal and murder. The evil comes home. Still watch.
This is CBS.
I'm telling you, Frank, you gotta let me order you a supply of this new command. Yeah, okay, so why is this stuff so great? Well, you got your grasses, right? Yeah. You got your broadleaf weeds? Well, put this stuff down when you plant your soybeans, and it controls them both. Hey, it gets foxtail. Yeah. And velvet leaf. Yep. Hey, that's great, because I swear, I hate velvet leaf. Okay, shall I put you down for an order of command?
You're on TV8, KCCI-TV, Des Moines.
The Bible Speaks is a fundamentalist Christian church of about 1,000 members with headquarters in Lenox, Massachusetts. Its founder and pastor, Carl Stevens. Many of those who were once devout followers of the church have left, saying that they discovered Carl Stevens is not what he seems to be. Here is Carl Stevens in his own words on what happens to those who question God's man, meaning Stevens.
Don't you say a sentence, not a sentence, not a line. Don't presume or you'll die.
He intimidates you from the pulpit. He says that if you leave the Bible Speaks and you speak anything about the Bible Speaks, meaning speaking anything negative about the Bible Speaks, you'll get cancer of the throat, cancer of the larynx, you will die.
And in another sermon on those who speak against the Bible Speaks.
I have no right to say they're not spiritual, but if they run down the Bible Speaks and tell lies, I have a right to say they're spiritual bastards.
How do you like that one?
We can only show you photographs of Stevens like this one from his marriage to his second wife, and home movies, because he refused our request for an interview. When we tried to talk to some of his followers at the headquarters in Lenox, Massachusetts, they told us they were instructed not to talk to CBS. And the lawyer for the Bible Speaks told us we wouldn't be allowed on the grounds in Lenox, a serene campus where some people come to live and some to train as missionaries. home of the Stevens School of the Bible, and a church where Stevens preaches.
He comes across so spontaneously that you think it's right from the throne of God.
Someone that sincerely wants to follow God, a man like Carl Stevens, can suck them up in his tailwind so fast they can't see the danger for the dust. And by the time the dust settles, they're trapped, they've sold their home, they've changed their position, they've given up their job, they've done all these things, their children are in the school, all their friends are no longer from back home, they're here, and you're going to make a rip away from that, you're going to cut loose. I'll tell you, it is a frightening experience.
Bruce Brown and his wife Barbara and Pat Manchester are just 3 of the dozens of ex-members of the Bible Speaks with whom we talked. Many of them told us stories of intimidation and manipulation by Stevens. At one point, we showed up at a service off campus to try to ask Stevens about the things his former followers were saying. He saw our cameras and raced into the auditorium. We weren't allowed to film the sermon, but we listened to it. When Stevens spoke, almost everyone took out a notebook and wrote down what he said.
In the early days, he used to tell them, mark it down, mark it down. But today, you still have that.
We saw that at a service. Everyone took out notebooks and started writing down. That's because they think they're writing
something that comes directly from heaven through Pastor Stevens.
James Bjornstad, the academic dean at Northeastern Bible College, who has been studying the Bible Speaks for years and believes that it operates much like a cult, gaining control of people because they believe what Stevens says comes from God. Something, according to Bjornstad, Stevens encourages.
First of all, you're taught that Stevens is the man of God. And you're told that this is a very unique organization blessed by God. God anoints all the messages of Pastor Stevens.
I was guaranteed that angels would come every time I preach. That's the truth.
Stevens, who was once a bakery truck driver, uses the title Dr. Stevens. And he's written to people that he graduated from Moody Bible Institute in Illinois. But after the Moody Institute said he is not a graduate, Stevens claimed his letters were a mistake.
When I brought that up to Pastor Stevens, he dismissed those letters by saying it was a secretarial error.
As for those doctorates, Bjornstad says those are honorary degrees from an unaccredited school. Whatever the story on Stevens' credentials, several former followers said they were taught it's all right to lie for the Bible Speaks. And some said that wasn't the only surprise from Pastor Stevens.
He was very seductive in my life.
You saying what, he made a pass at you?
Well, he's very affectionate. He hugs and kisses all the girls. And when he takes them in the office, he doesn't limit his hugs and kisses. And I mean, I don't know how far he goes with every woman. I guess every woman would have to say that to you personally. I'm not proud of it.
Pat Manchester and her husband were such strong believers in Stevens that they say they gave close to $35,000 to the Bible Speaks. Some of it came from the sale of their home. Bruce Brown says he almost sold his house and gave the money to the Bible Speaks because Stevens urged him to do so.
He looked at me and said, Bruce, you still own your house up Maine, don't you? I says, yeah. He said, how much do you think that's worth? I said, well, it's not finished. $25,000? Sell it. Just like that. Sell it.
How much do you think he cared about the money?
I think the worship, the adoration was more than anything. I really believe it's even more than the money, but I can't absolutely say that. I mean, I know money certainly played a big role because he certainly knew how to get it. This couple that we knew said that right from the beginning, Carl Stevens used to say to them all the time, if only I can just find one millionaire.
And apparently, he did.
How much did you give? Oh, about $7 million.
Betsy Dayton Dovidenis, here with her husband Jonas, is one of the heirs to the Dayton department store fortune. She joined the Bible Speaks in 1982, and now she's suing to get her money back. She says she was manipulated through flattery and fear.
I was told that God could trust me with so much money because he knew that I wouldn't keep it, that I would give it to the Bible Speaks.
How could they do that? How could you not know what you were doing?
I think that my desire to find a church made me vulnerable. I had no way of knowing that every little thing they were saying was a lie. It was just lie after lie. And I think there's just no way to say strongly enough that they are so good at what they do.
The Bible Speaks says Betsy's donations were all voluntary and that she's been brainwashed against the Bible Speaks by her husband Jonas and her family. As proof that she gave of her own free will, they produced a letter in which Betsy said, "No one from the ministry has ever asked me to give a gift. I have never been pressured into giving money in any way."
Stevens asked me to write that letter, and in fact, he told me what to put in the letter, and the next day, Kathy Hill dictated that letter, and I just wrote down what she told me to write.
So they dictated letters to you in which you said you weren't pressured?
Yes.
Kathy Hill, a loyal follower of Stevens, became Betsy's closest friend. You think she was assigned to watch you?
Yes. More than just to watch. To influence me.
And report back to him?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You believe they tried to break up your marriage?
Absolutely.
They come close?
They came very close.
Jonas Dovidenis objected to his wife's increasing involvement with the Bible Speaks. He says Carl Stevens, in a letter, tried to buy him off in the hope that he would stop interfering. Please don't repeat to her, meaning Betsy, this next suggestion which I gave to her 2 weeks ago. I suggested that she give you $1 million to invest in any way you saw fit, with her hands off.
I took it as a kind of payoff. Well, I've got $1 million. You can have $1 million too. I'll talk to Betsy about it.
By December 1985, Betsy's last month in the Bible Speaks, she says her fortune was managed by the same lawyer, accountant, and financial advisor who worked for the Bible Speaks. She even wrote a new will, leaving most of her remaining estate to the Bible Speaks, with Kathy Hill as executor. And since the law required that some money go to Jonas, Carl Stevens was put in charge of that money in the new will.
It was dictated by Kathy Hill, and even some of the ideas were made by the Bible Speaks lawyer.
What about your children? Did you leave anything to your children?
They were totally left out.
Betsy says she might never have left the Bible Speaks without the help of her family. And what would Carl Stevens say about all these allegations and his critics? He might dismiss them, as he has in the past.
They're trying to divide us from each other, but they're not going to do it as long as I'm pastor, because I know how to handle them, because I'm God's man.
Betsy Dovidenis will get her day in court starting on March 30th. Because of her suit, the Bible Speaks has filed for bankruptcy. The trial will be in a federal bankruptcy court, and if Betsy wins, she could force the liquidation of the Bible Speaks.
The old idea of a luxury car has changed. Chrysler LeBaron GTS, fast, agile, luxurious. Created to outperform BMW 520AD and Mercedes 190E at a sensible price, and it does. Today's New Yorker, turbo-powered, and like every Chrysler we build, the new 770 protection plan. Now, the all-new LeBaron. Beauty with a passion for driving. Chrysler, driving to be the best.
A lot of people have asked me why flowers from FTD are the perfect Valentine's gift.
Hi!
Happy Valentine's Day.
Does that answer your question? I'm sure you'll agree. The FTD Sweetheart Bouquet is the perfect Valentine's gift.
I could barely breathe.
Before and Afrin.
Better.
For relief without drowsiness or jitters, Afrin's the spray doctors and pharmacists recommend most.
Suffocating.
Before and Afrin.
I can breathe.
These days, computers are spewing forth a sea of information. Yet it's harder than ever to find what you need without getting swamped. But at AT&T, we can help you stay afloat. We're working to combine computers and communications so you can get the right information to the right people at the right time. As easy as using the telephone. AT&T, the right choice.
Monday, will college in California make Emma a new person?
You're so blonde.
Well, for
sure should.
Then a blind date's cut short by an impulsive boyfriend.
Uh-oh.
My sister Sam, and on Newhart.
I'm Larry for the defense.
Can the brothers beat a cow-napping rap?
Guarantee you'll wind up in jail.
Let's go practice being ankle chained together.
Then Kit's back on the chorus line, and Pop's got one singular sensation.
See that entrance?
Wow.
The Kavanaugh.
Watch this exit.
Tonight, Andy Rooney takes a look, or rather a listen, at our national anthem and comes to the conclusion that we could do better.
The words to the Star Spangled Banner were written a long time ago by a Washington lawyer named Francis Scott Key. I used to think he was a woman. Someone had the bright idea of singing the words to the music of an old English tavern song, and what we got is our national anthem.
Would you please join us in singing our national anthem?
People like the sound of it, even though the words are silly, and musicians say it's a terrible piece of music that can't be sung by the average person. Even some professionals can't hit the notes in the Star Spangled Banner.
For the land of the free.
Americans aren't listening for Beethoven, though. They like it straight and square.
That our flag was still there.
As often as we've heard it, a lot of us still don't know the words.
Oh, say, can you, that Star Spangled? Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early night, what so proudly we hailed?
There probably ought to be a law against cute children singing the Star Spangled Banner.
All this fight was so gallant.
Recently, they've been rearranging it.
Banner, yet waving. The land of the free.
I don't think that's what Francis Scott Key had in mind, man. There are people who think we ought to throw out the Star Spangled Banner and get a new national anthem, or use America the Beautiful. Never will switch, though. The Star Spangled Banner may be bad music, may be bad poetry, but there's something about it. If you've ever been in a foreign country and heard it sung and felt the pride and luck of being American, you wouldn't want to change it.
Most of the mail we got following last week's show was about our story on the shopkeeper who accidentally electrocuted a burglar in a trap he had set after his store was burgled for the 8th time. One viewer noted the professor in our story asking, how can a trap tell the difference between a good guy and a bad guy? My question is, how many good guys break into a store through a hole in the ceiling at 3 in the morning? Another viewer said, if the criminal knows going in that his chances of being caught are slim, do we really want to guarantee him a safe retreat? About our story on Vietnamese students in the United States, we got some very angry mail, some from Asian students, 4 of them at San Francisco State. As Asian students, we disagree with and oppose the stereotype of Asians as the model minority because it creates a backlash of resentment. They're right, it does. Just listen to this letter. You failed to point out that each Vietnamese refugee receives $700 a month, and within a year or two, the family moves into a wealthy suburb with the best schools and opportunities denied working-class Americans. About our story on Outward Bound and the women suffering from cancer, a viewer wrote, my mother, who was a member of that group, died before their courageous Outward Bound trip, but I like to think she was there in spirit. And finally, I have never been more proud to be a woman. I'm Ed Bradley. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
This is the beginning. The all-new Chrysler LeBaron. Beauty with a passion for driving. Advanced front-wheel drive traction. Positive response suspension. Fuel-injected high-torque power. Choose precision 5-speed. Heart-pounding turbo. All with Chrysler's new 770 protection plan. New LeBaron from Chrysler. Driving to be the best.
It's 5 below, but for me it's 101. I've got the flu and I ache. But I don't take aspirin anymore, or Tylenol. I choose Advil. Advil contains a non-prescription strength of ibuprofen. Doctors have recommended Advil over 5 million times for so many types of pain. Advil stops my headache, reduces fever, and relieves the aches. Shouldn't you try Advil this flu season? Advil, tablets and new caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
An investment firm is only as impressive as it is responsive.
It's a go.
So when interest rates fell, we looked for new ways for our clients to make money and developed unique opportunities like the Prudential Real Estate Investment Trust, a first of its kind in a way to take advantage of changing markets. While others may imitate it, we're busy surpassing it. If anyone can show you bold new thinking in the business of making money,
let's close it.
It's Prudential Beach, rock solid, market-wise.
Would you please join us in singing our national anthem?
By the dawn's early night.
Oh, say, can you that Star Spangled?
Later tonight, raising 4 different kids is 4 times the fun and 4 times the laughs in the new series, Nothing is Easy, premiering after Designing Women. Then, a murder confession arouses suspicion on Hard Copy. But first, Angela Lansbury stars in Murder, She Wrote, next.
Friday, you're invited to the wedding of the season. But will another suitor...
I don't respond too well to being stood up.
And an assassin's bullet stop the nuptials for Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Then, JR turns over a new leaf.
Do you love Daddy again?
But can he pay the price?
I can kiss you in royal goodbye. If I take over, I do things my way.
Dallas. And the painful present.
I think I like her.
Secrets from the past.
You got Maggie pregnant.
Threaten to destroy Maggie. Falcon Crest, Friday on CBS.
On Simon & Simon, a TV star disappears.
I say we had a kidnapping on our hands.
Or does someone want to tune him out permanently?
Definitely Emmy time.
Then, on Knox Landing.
The only way out for you and your family is to assassinate Greg Sumner.
A crisis of life and death.
I don't have a choice.
Thursday. Kids and crime. The criminals are younger and the crimes they commit more dangerous than ever.
We've had kids who are 10 years old with Grand Theft Auto charges, and one's pushing the gas pedals and the other is sitting up on the seat driving.
A public nuisance or a national tragedy? Bernard Goldberg reports tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
This is CBS.
Running a business, you tend to expect the little surprises that come along. But some things that shouldn't be a surprise often are. Like renewing your company's insurance program. Why is it some insurance agents seem to wait until the last minute to inform you of unavailable coverages or new premium rates? This year, why not give them a nice little surprise? Call KVI 243-1830. At KVI, the only surprise you'll get are no surprises at all. KVI.
Trying to improve your bottom line?
Always.
Got Pioneer Days plugged in?
Sure have. Now, let's see. That's the usual 6% savings on all Pioneer products and a free gift, too?
Right. But this year, there are even more ways to save.
For instance?
Well, there's a new quantity savings plan that could save you from 2 to 10% more on your seed order. How's that sound?
Sounds like a good deal.